Okay, so let's start by doing a deep dive of what environments is and exactly why they are really important. In Mindflow, like you see on the screen, you may want to create many agents, many automation flows or agents. For example, here you have here Neo. Neo is the incident responder. It's a supervisor agent which will orchestrate many more agents like you see on the screen, like for example, delegating the task to a CTI expert, a threat intelligence expert, to a ticket master who is going to create a ticket, incident ticket, for example. And if you look into it, you see that those agents here, they are deployed many times. You can deploy actually agents and flows many times. For example, if we look at what is exactly this Neo, Neo is a prompt. Basically, this is a core functional mission of the agent. By the way, you can have it in full screen, and you pick a model, of course. But the important part is that at some point, this agent is going to use tools and other agents. And that's where it's very important to consider environment, because in large enterprise, for example, this agent is going to manipulate data, sensitive data, and have access to different tools and etc. And you may want to use some of those agents in multiple environments. But basically, like when you are developing a software, you want to manage versioning, you want to manage staging versus production system, you want to manage different teams, different permissions, different credentials, and all of that. So environments is exactly the way to make sure that you deploy flows and agents under control. You want control, you want governance. So here you see that Neo is only deployed into a cyber swarm. Cyber swarm is a special environment for this demo in the latest release. I can choose to deploy Neo in other environments. I can say, okay, deploy this flow, and then I can pick another environment. You may see a different environment. Environments can be teams, can be domains. It really depends on your business. But basically, if we look at tech people, it's more like development, staging, production, or it's like SOC in production for security and SOC in test for testing various combination and incident rules. So you pick the environment where you want to deploy that. It can be a personal environment, and you pick a version. And when we design this feature, it was clear that regarding at our competitors and at the automation market for 20 years, this is not very well managed. The engineering people, they know that very, very easily, because every day they need to manage environments, especially within DevOps teams, you have this concept. But if you look at the big picture, it's not well designed in some of the solutions. Sometimes you edit this kind of, let me show you a little bit more about that. But if I edit the agent that create some Jira tickets, you see that this is a composition of different steps. Here is an AI task where basically we have the exact role of this flow. And you want this to be deployed many times, because Jira tickets, you can use that in, for example, in a DevOps team, but you can also use Jira in an IT team, in a cloud team, different teams. And when it comes to configure those steps, which manipulates some tools, here, Jira, you want, if you look at the tools here for this agent, you see that there is Jira here. And Jira, it's not like it's open bar. You want to call Jira, but you want to pick the exact credentials from your environment that is going to be used. So environments It's a first citizen in Mindflow. It's here, environments. If I click on that, I will have the, of course, it's a demo lab here, so it is not representative of everything you can do, but basically you can create new environment and yeah, to set some credentials and all of that. So if I open, for example, a production, I can create a credential and I can select the service for it, Jira here, and then can pick the exact version of Jira that I want. Let's take the latest one. I'm going to create a Jira credentials. I'm going to pick, of course, the kind of credentials that you need to support. But the important part is that this credential is going to be restricted to this environment. If I create it, it's going to be allowed only for those people. And here you can really finely grained permissions, like are those people allowed to use that credential or just to audit that credential or have no way to manipulate this credential. So really environment is two parts of the same story. First, how do you manage the sensitive credentials, sensitive secrets that allows you to work with tools? And second, how do you make sure that the data, the deployment, the configuration is strictly related to this environment? So that environments is all about that. And another thing is about the tools. And of course, environments matter, but it's also important to restrict the tools' capabilities. For example, let's open this CTI expert. CTI expert is a threat intelligence expert. Is dedicated to analyze, IP addresses, emails, and all of that. So you see that here, this AI task, which is about calling operations, actions, it manipulates different tools here. I can open it here to see exactly what is the configuration, and I can open the tools tab to see exactly what is ongoing in this AI task. If I see that, I have 5 tools here. Every tool is dedicated of part of the threat intelligence domain. If I'm going to, for example, VirusTotal, I see that there is a list of operations that are allowed to be called. Here, it's a get an IP address report. Of course, VirusTotal is capable of doing many more things. So here, we dedicate the AI task to only being able to do one thing and only one thing. So in addition to the credential being in the environment, this policy will be applied also on all the tools. And if I'm coming back to other tools like IP info, for example, you see that there is a bunch of operation, which are straightforward here, like returning the city of a selected IP address. You see that we allow only those, and we take care not to select all the operation from the vendor here. So in addition, again, to the credential which is set into the environment, we have the ability to really have fine-grained permissions per operation, and that is critical for 2 aspects. One is the reliability. The more you set something to an agent like a human, if you have too much information, it will just not know exactly what to do. And the second thing is about security, of course, because here is a non-sensitive operation just to collect data, but you may have here some, stopping a virtual machine or doing some crazy stuff that can affect the system. So it's important that it's an important aspect also of the security, which is linked to the way that the environments are deployed. If you look into the news, you see that some companies are starting to deploy at start dozens of agents, then hundreds of agents, and then thousands of agents. If you want really to scale in a company, the number of agents here, it's a simple stuff, but you may want to have zillion of agents in your company. one for marketing, a swarm of agents for marketing, a swarm of agents for sales, a swarm of agents for SecOps, and so on. So in the end, if you don't have a control plane for that, being able to say, okay, this agent can do this action in this environment with this data. I mean, you cannot do that in a large enterprise if you don't have governance and control. And that's exactly what Mindflow is about. It's just not just an experimental platform. It's a platform dedicated to enterprise governance. You want to get benefit of being able to do some crazy stuff with AI, but you want to do that with the level of control that human requires.